Hello, and welcome to another episode of the It's the Pictures podcast. We are on episode number 216. I am here. My name is Evan Crean. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Max Colville. Hey, Max.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You just came back from a pretty big vacation.
We
How
came
was that?
back. We came back from doing Disney and one day Epic Universe. It was quite a whirlwind of a trip. I'll talk about the Star Wars experience a little bit later. That was pretty neat. Yeah, and Evan, we're here just like right after the Oscars, and
Yep.
I didn't plan it that way, but I was like, oh, here they are. And it feels like they take so long to come, right? Because you and I,
Mm-hmm.
or people in this business, I should say, we kind of like live and breathe these movies. And in some cases, a movie like Sinners for almost a year now.
Right. Like literally, yeah. I think it's roughly what came out around this time last year.
Yeah, and it feels like the Oscars is something that should happen in January, and I know the pomp and circumstance and why it doesn't happen till March, but we'll get into the end of this Oscar season and a little bit of our thoughts on the show and the awards and what have you a little bit later. But I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, me too.
I know that I've been busy on my vacation. Everything going well in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, I mean, the snow finally freaking melted.
Yeah.
The temperatures are warming up, and that's doing a lot for my mental health in addition to the days, getting longer, more sunlight. So that's all good stuff. And yeah, as you just mentioned, this week's topic, or this show's topic, in case you hadn't figured out, was the Oscars from this year. So we'll get to that. But we got some news we wanted to cover, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the first thing is I'd heard some stuff about this, but I didn't get a chance to read much about it, that there's a Firefly reunion in the works. I know that Nathan Fillion has been teasing it for at least the last several weeks. I think he's been like meeting up with his former co-stars from the show, right? And like social media videos and posts.
Yeah, it was a long tease by Nathan Fillion, and those unfamiliar with his name, he is the captain on the show Firefly, and he's on a lot
Mm-hmm.
of procedurals over the years. I think currently he's on an ABC show called The Rookie,
Yep.
and before that he was on another procedural where like I think he played like an author or something that was solving
Right.
crimes.
Yeah, it was called Castle, and
Yeah.
he was an author who consulted the police because he was like a murder mystery author or something like that. But yeah, I mean he's a pretty well known television quantity, and he's shown up in movies here and there recently. Like he was in the new Superman movie as the Green Lantern, and I
Yeah.
think it was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean Firefly is a beloved show. I remember watching it some point after it actually aired because my friends were really really into it. I remember one year my group of friends, they all dressed up as like the characters from the show,
Mm.
and yeah, I mean obviously they love the movie too, which I've seen, I don't know, maybe once or twice, and I remember liking it. And yeah, I've always liked Firefly. I don't think I felt like it demanded more, but I'm not going to be upset if we get more of it. What about you, Max?
Yeah, so this seems like the most logical way to make more because everybody's aged quite a bit in the 20 years since the show was on the air. And, you can get away with animation of hopefully a smaller budget than what the show probably demanded at the time, big science fiction show.
Mm-hmm.
And, it makes logical sense. I think during the announcement, they were at a convention this past weekend to make the announcement. Nathan Fillion shared that, like, Joss Whedon gave his blessing, but he's not involved, which for a lot of people would have been like the last stone. Like they could never see the show coming back with Joss Whedon's involvement.
Yeah, he's kind of radioactive. You don't want him touching this project.
Right. And then, Nathan said that while nobody has really picked it up yet, they've been working and they have the scripts and everything. They're hopeful that, someone will come around, and you could see the buzz that he was drumming up was being successful because Firefly was climbing up in the streaming ranks, and there's always been this groundswell of support for the franchise, but maybe this renewed call will help it get the renewal it needs. And I know some people feel like it's been 20 years, you can let it die, and who cares? You can go on with your life, and for those people, yes, you can still do that. You can ignore this. You can pretend it doesn't exist, and
Mm-hmm.
just say like you have your fond memories and go about your life. For everybody else who hope to see more adventures of these specific characters and crew, this is your chance to get that. Whether or not this tickles your fancy or not, we'll see. But I think it's a gallant effort by everyone involved. Some of these actors and actresses are more in demand than others, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh yeah, sure, I can some extra money for some voice gig and stuff like that.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk has made a meal out of it since Firefly,
Oh
right?
yeah, he's like in every like Disney movie, right? Doing some kind of
Right.
voice.
Yeah, I feel like Gina Torres stays pretty busy too. Do you know what they're gonna do in terms of? I know in Serenity they killed off Wash, Alan Tudyk's character. Are they gonna?
Yeah, it
Do you
takes
think they're
place
gonna
between
retcon it?
Firefly and Serenity.
Uh,
So,
Gotcha. Okay, so you'll still his character will still be there, and they don't have to like write it different. They don't have to retcon it.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm definitely interested to see it. I'm picturing something a la Star Trek Lower Decks in terms of level of comedy. Maybe not quite so silly, but that could be a lot of fun in an animated version.
yeah, and I mean, like, so there's some people who maybe watch the show and would poo-poo an animated version, but I think animated shows have come such a long way, and even if you look at like a show like Archer that was successful for so many years with that kind of art style and still like kind of adult focused, I think it could absolutely work for the Firefly crew.
Yeah, I mean, with animation, you can be as serious or not serious as you want to be. There's a lot of room there to work with. All right, let's see. So let's talk about some of the other stuff in the news. There's some casting news around Kate Winslet. She's going to play the lead in a new Lord of the Rings movie, The Hunt for Gollum.
Did,
I
did,
had
did,
no
did,
idea this
you
was
didn't
coming.
know this was coming?
Nope.
Yeah.
But I'm not really a Lord of the Rings fan. The movies are fine to me. Like I like them enough, but I never read any of the books, so I kind of don't have the same like attachment, and I don't have this kind of stuff on my radar. So yeah, I was surprised to read that there's a new movie coming and that Kate Winslet is going to be in it. And apparently, Max, this one is about hunting down Gollum. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I think like I read a little bit of the plot synopsis myself, and it takes place like before the Lord of the Rings, where Aragorn was on this long journey to try to capture Gollum and find the ring before it fell into the wrong hands. So you get those familiar characters, but also uh, you don't have to make a sequel. That's always
Right.
helpful too. Andy Serkis is actually directing the movie. He plays Gollum, taking over from
Mm-hmm.
Peter Jackson. So I think this has like been talked about for at least a year or two. So they've probably been in prep and everything like that. But the article goes on to say that Peter Jackson, probably as an executive producer, and Andy Serkis kind of really begged Kate Winslet to consider this role, and she has to like uproot her family for 6 months
Mm.
to be able to commit to this role. Yeah, it's a pretty big swing. She's a huge name, of course. I don't know. In the article, it doesn't really say who they're getting as like Aragorn this time, even though like I think they've already said that Frodo is returning and
Yep.
Gandalf is returning. So
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder what capacity. If they're not supposed to like know each other yet, right?
yeah, I think Gandalf probably knew Aragorn for a long time, but like I think
Hmm.
like as far as like Frodo being in the movie, I almost feel like that is just like an end of the movie, like kind of like cameo, like saying like, oh yeah, I'm here, I exist, and
Hmm.
I can't imagine how he'd work any other way.
Okay. So another item in the news is that apparently there's a Conan the Barbarian 3 coming with Arnold Schwarzenegger is returning. It's called King Conan, and he's teaming up with Christopher McQuarrie to work on this. Again, this was not on my radar. I'm surprised by this news entirely. I mean, I remember thinking that the Conan movies were all right in my book, but I never thought we'd see another one. What about you?
Yeah, this is. Some people were like, this is like late period Arnold Schwarzenegger time to like return to his roots if he ever had them. Conan the Barbarian is arguably his most famous performance outside of the Terminator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why I bought the Arrow 4K release. I think it came out a year or two ago. The two movies. I only saw the first one because apparently the second one is a little bit more I wouldn't say exactly family friendly, but it's a PG-13 compared to an R-rated movie, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a little sillier from what I hear. I don't know. I really like the first Conan the Barbarian for what it is. You know, a sword and sorcery movie. I think like last episode I was just talking about Excalibur, so that was in that same
Mm-hmm.
vein. You know, as these actors get older, do I imagine them doing the same thing? I don't know because it's like Harrison Ford, right? It's hard to imagine him like being like a leading man anymore. I think that last Dial of Destiny was like his last, certainly his last call.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Schwarzenegger's in much better shape. He can handle a movie of this demand. And you know, Christopher McQuarrie, he's been working on those Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise. So
Right.
you know, there's some hope that this could be good and get across to the finish line.
Yeah, and I mean, the story from what I'm reading is about Conan being king and getting complacent, and getting pushed out of his kingdom, and having to kind of like bring everything back together, which I think could make for a decent story for a new Conan movie. All right, and then our last item here is this. Max, I'm going to rely on you to take the
Yeah.
majority on this one. This is Daisy Edgar Jones is starring in an adaptation of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is a book that you're familiar with.
Yeah, so this was, I think, a few years back. I was never a big reader, and I started picking up a lot of different novels again. And this one is firmly in the fiction world, but it's about like the thread that ties the whole book together is like video game development.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Daisy Edgar Jones' character meets this young boy in a hospital setting when they're younger, and they hit it off. You know, eventually they develop a big video game together and keep growing together as people, and their studio growing and what have you. And as someone who loves video games, it had enough of that in the story to like really make the more heavy drama stuff work for me. And it's just a book that I really enjoyed. I don't know, like Daisy Edgar Jones hasn't really done too much for me yet. I mean, Sisters, she just kind of seems like she's there. I didn't see like some of the other things that she was in. I think she was like most famously she was in like that Hulu miniseries, like Normal People, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen that or Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah,
Although
so
I've heard some people who really hate that movie.
I mean, like, but I think this is a good get for her. I mean, I think the book is well liked, and it has a lot of that crossover appeal because it's a drama, but that talks about video games and video game development. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, power to her. I'm glad that that's something that's being worked on, and I'm eager to see what ultimately comes out of it.
Okay, cool. Should we move on to our main topic then?
We absolutely should.
All right. So we're gonna talk about, as I mentioned, the this year's Oscars, the 98th Oscars, and Max, I know wrote a piece about it for the newsletter. So if you haven't checked that out, you should. But yeah, I guess let's talk about the Oscars. I'll start briefly by saying I did not do a good job of following the movies this year that were in contention. I did see some of them. I didn't see a lot of the things that were in competition. I was so bad that I didn't even realize that Conan O'Brien was hosting the Oscars until I turned it on last night. What about you, Max? Were you like feeling like totally prepared, like you'd seen a bunch of movies and you were like ready to go? You know, for this year's Oscars, did you like me? Did you DVR it and like watch some of it later so you didn't have to put up with commercials?
No, so as far as like preparedness, I had seen all 10 Best Picture nominees.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd seen a few of the international films. I'd seen all 5 animated movies.
Damn, that's impressive. I saw zero. It's so bad.
I saw one of the 5 documentaries. So yeah, I was pretty prepared as far as like being like excited for the show or what have you. You know, maybe I've become jaded over the years to the Oscars or just realized that like my tastes don't always coincide.
Mm.
Like the eventual winner of the Oscars was also very high on my ballot, so you could say, "Oh yeah, I should be happy." But also, my taste this year also includes stuff like The Testament of Anne Lee and No Other Choice, which didn't get recognized by the Academy at all, with nominations or wins by any means. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, while the Academy tries to make great swaths and then like it's a popular entertainment show, right? It's telling you
Right.
what is the most lauded movies of the year. and it's based on people making their charts and those movies ranking higher than others, and just the movies that show up on most ballots. So I don't know. Yeah, I think I was prepared. I did not in years past. I watched a lot of award shows, Evan. Like I'd watch the Globes or I'd watch the SAGs and like see what was going on. But this year, for the most part, for those, I just saw the results afterwards. I was like, I don't need to hear the same people make a zillion speeches.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I'll just save my one award show for the Oscars, and that'll be enough.
You're like, I'll go for quality over quantity this
Yeah.
year.
I didn't need to watch Critics' Choice or Globes or SAGs.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't typically watch the other ones because I kind of feel like it's a waste of time to watch the shows. So, like the Oscars to me makes sense because it's kind of like the main one for movies. So, but yeah,
No, Evan, that's my argument too. It's like when you talk about a movie, you talk about whether or not it won an Academy Award. You don't talk about
right.
movies like, oh, how many movies have won? This movie won the Palme d'Or, or this movie won the Golden Lion, and this is why you should watch it. It's like someone's gonna look at you like and say, what's the Golden Lion? It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Like the movies love to tout that on their posters and in their marketing and stuff. You're like, oh, it won an Independent Spirit Award. Okay, cool. Like, it doesn't mean anything to the average moviegoer.
yeah.
Okay, where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about some categories? Do you want to talk about the overall show
first? Because like Conan is
Okay.
the first thing that everybody sees. How did you think he did as a host?
I loved him. I thought he was great. I don't really remember last year's show very well, but this one I think had the funniest opening that I could think of an Oscars in recent memory or even at all. I love this opening sketch where he's, getting makeup put on and then he's got makeup that looks like Amy Madigan in Weapons, and this whole extended chase sequence where like the children are chasing him through the different movies. I was actually laughing out loud throughout all of that. And he definitely made some pretty funny barbs too, like in the opening when he was talking about Amazon being shut out for awards this year, and he's like, yeah, why isn't the website I order toilet paper from nominated for more awards? I was like, damn, that's a low blow, Conan.
Yeah,
And
I particularly like the Ted Sarandis joke where he was like, welcome, this is what a theater is like, like
Yeah.
Ted Sarandis is the CEO of Netflix. I'm like, he doesn't want to be in no theater.
Right. Yeah, you made some joke that was like, it should be home, in your home where I can monetize it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I liked his sense of humor. I thought he brought a really good energy to the show. I didn't feel like the show was like unnecessarily weighted down with like dumb bits that were trying to go viral. They were just silly, like the Timothy Chalamet butt bongo thing that the guy was playing with the ping pong paddles, or the whole joke about the Oscars going to YouTube in a few years and then like getting interrupted by Jane Lynch tactical flashlight ads and class action ads. Those were very funny to me. Good use of Jane Lynch.
Yeah, I even like the bit he had with Sterling K. Brown about repeating the plot. We talked about that on the podcast a few episodes ago, and
yeah,
it was nice to see that come up in a joke about Casablanca.
Yeah, exactly. They felt in previous years' shows, I feel like they try to go for like meta jokes and things that they're just trying to create viral moments. And this, I felt like the humor was topical and pointed at the movies and the movie industry. Like even when he introduced Kumail Nanjiani and he said he has the body of a Marvel Comics hero and the voice of a Marvel Comics collector, I thought was very funny. Both at Kumail's expense, but also just, it's like people who are watching the movies, they're going to get these jokes. And so I appreciate that. Did you notice that Robert Downey Jr. called Channing Tatum
As far as the presenters go, no, like some of them were better than others, right? Like this year, they kind of made it so that any of the reunions were done by having the presenters of those movies come out. So like one of the more popular ones is probably Bridesmaids, reminding us how old we are.
Yeah, seriously.
Is. I think that bit went on a little too long, but I like that better than Let's Celebrate James Bond by having 4 people sing about like James Bond music. That was weird.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I liked the Bridesmaids reunion. I liked the Pullmans.
Yeah.
Bill and Lewis presenting together. I thought that was cute. Especially their jokes about like the sequel. Some people like the sequel more than the original. And what wasn't working for me? The whole Anne Hathaway, Anna Wintour thing.
Yeah, no, that
I just felt like
either.
I think Anne Hathaway was great and she brought the necessary energy. And I know Anna Wintour is supposed to be playing kind of like a curmudgeon, but I just feel like it didn't work.
Yeah.
She was too low energy, too detached from the proceedings, and that while it was a smart idea, okay, let's have them talk about, the costumes and the fashion part of it. And it's just that bit just totally
Yeah,
fell
it's
flat
like you
for me.
couldn't. I'm sure it came up like, why don't we ask Meryl Streep to come out to do this, because like it's a promotion for Devil Wears Prada too at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yep.
like, I don't know if she just couldn't have been bothered or what have you, but everybody loves Meryl Streep at the Oscars. It's like when I was growing up, it was like either like Meryl Streep or Jack Nicholson. Like everybody, like the camera would just love and show all the time, and like they'd be like almost like the ringmaster of the presentation. And without them there, it's kind of like, well, let's go to Leo, who's like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did like the joke about let's create a new Leonardo DiCaprio
yeah,
meme. That was actually funny. But what do you think of the In Memoriam segment? Because they definitely did things very differently this year than how they typically do it. They had multiple, tributes to various, titans of the industry that died, starting with the Rob Reiner tribute from Billy Crystal, which had cast from all of his like big movies that were there on stage to pay tribute. We had Rachel McAdams paying tribute to Catherine O'Hara and Diane
Diane Keaton.
Keaton. We had Barbara Streisand came out to pay tribute to Robert Redford. Those were kind of like punctuating the different in memoriam, clips that we typically get of people from the industry. What did you think about the whole, segment?
I thought it was nice. I think like we lost so many Titans though. It felt like they could have done like 7 of those, and like it would
Right.
have been enough. Like you saw like Robert Duvall come up and then Robert Redford, and you're like, oh well, someone could have easily come out. You could have had like Al Pacino strut out here for Robert Duvall or something like
Yeah.
that. They just like pick and chose who they talk about. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like signaling out like Redford, given like his film history and Sundance contributions, made a lot of sense.
Yep. Agreed.
Diane Keaton, just like a titan of actresses, and right up there for Meryl Streep is like one of the most iconic actresses. That made a lot of sense. I mean, but like we lost a few directors last year, and certainly Rob Reiner's situation, it was the most tragic.
Right. That I think deserved a special recognition, both for his massive contributions to the industry and the nature of which, they didn't call attention to it, but I
Mhm.
think it hurt more.
Yeah, we lost a lot of great actors and actresses, and also directors. You see that list of people fly by, and you're like, oh boy, it's like too many.
Yeah, there were people I forgot about too, like Michael Madsen. I was like, my God, I forgot we lost him. And then when it got to Graham Greene and Val Kilmer back to back, I,
Yeah.
I I also was like, whoa, that really hit me where it hurt because I had in last year seen Thunderheart with him with both of those actors, and they were terrific together, and it made it hurt that much more.
Right. And for that point, you could also have had Tom Cruise, one of the biggest stars on the planet, come out and talk about Val Kilmer, right? So
Yeah.
they had to pick and choose, and that kind of stinks in the end, because plenty of people deserve that kind of recognition or extended sequence, but I guess they did the best that they could.
Mm-hmm.
It was always going to be a tough thing to kind of do. I guess another thing, if we're talking about the production of the show, that like I thought were misses. I thought that Memoriam was good, but the misses for me were like I thought like the sound quality on the whole the evening was pretty poor.
Yeah, that's right. There were weird kind of dips or odd things with the microphones going on, at least in the broadcast as I was watching it.
Yeah, it's like even when Barbara Streisand was singing her song from the movie that she made with Robert Redford, it felt like
Mm-hmm.
it was either struggling to catch her voice or she was not mic'd properly or what have you. It just, and I wrote about it in the newsletter. I said, good sound is supposed to be something you almost don't notice and nobody talks
Right.
about. But bad sound is like everybody will bemoan that. So
Mm-hmm.
it was too bad. And I guess the other thing that I didn't really love about the broadcast itself, I guess a lot of people were getting cut off
Yeah,
or
it
taste.
pisses me off
Yeah.
because they always pick like the people who are in the smaller movies, but also there's almost always people who are English is no. not necessarily their first language, so they're taking longer, or they're not running that long. They're gonna get through their thing, and it just makes me mad when they start playing them off, because it's like you can give them a couple of extra minutes. That's not gonna hurt
Well,
anybody. It's not like Adrian Brody's speech
yeah.
last year, which was like long-winded. It was like, shut the fuck up, Adrian Brody.
Well, it's like Amy Madigan kind of set the tone for the night because she said we were like, I guess all the nominees were told like not to spend a long time naming people that people don't know, like their agents or people that help them, just because like people are like, oh, it's boring to hear names. And my counterpoint is like, not only is the Oscars entertainment, but it's also an industry event. So it's like by getting your name in front of all these people, it's a big deal for your career. And
Yeah.
you know, I think like they recognize that moment as actors and actresses and what have you, and it's too bad. It's again another fine line that the Oscar ceremony has to do, but it's like, are you an industry event or are you an entertainment product? And you know, you just added a Oscar for casting, the first ever. That is certainly an industry award. Nobody knows what goes into casting,
Right. Exactly.
who those people are who are winning those awards.
Yeah. Well, why don't we talk about that since you just mentioned it? I think it was smart how they had people from the films come out and actually talk about the casting for each of the nominees. What did you think of that aspect?
Yeah, then you can have some familiar faces with it and say like, oh, I know that person. They must have been in that movie. And so this is the movie, like how they helped. Some faces are more familiar than others. Anybody who didn't watch One Battle After Another probably doesn't know who Chase Infinity is. But, you know, I guess it got the point across.
Yeah. Yeah. I was glad to see that category added, and we'll be seeing some more in the coming years. We've talked about the stunts category that's coming next year, right? Next year's Oscars is going to have the stunts category.
I don't know if it's next year or the one after it, but like, you know, before they leave ABC to go to YouTube, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else from the presenter side. I was actually pretty pissed off that Sean Penn couldn't be bothered to show up to accept his award. I thought that was like a classless move.
This morning, I guess, like Zelensky in Ukraine shared that Sean Penn was with him, and people are like, okay, so you're helping Ukraine, cool, that's nice, but like at least send a note or something to say that like I'm honored to accept this award or something, instead of just like no show.
Right. Yeah, exactly. When Kieran Culkin has to be up there saying, oh, he either couldn't make it or chose not to be here. Like, what the fuck, dude? I don't like him. I haven't liked him, and I was mad that his performance won, and even madder that he didn't even show up to accept his fucking trophy.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really loved Sean Penn one way or another. I can't think like a movie that I'm like, oh, he like elevated that movie so much for me. I think he's good in One Battle After Another, but like I don't think like I ever considered like my favorite supporting actor of the year, and not even of that movie.
No.
Like I'd take
No, Benicio del Toro.
Right.
What the hell? Why didn't he win? Or Delroy Lindo. Those were two way better performances, way more worthy of that trophy. And you would have bet that those guys were there. They were ready to accept and I'm sure give a great speech. Anyway, sorry, that just made my blood boil. Like, you can't even be bothered to show up to accept your award.
So, but we can move on to like the actual awards part of the evening. Then, were you mostly satisfied with, outside of Sean Penn, of who won, or did you have any like people that you were like, oh darn, they missed?
I mean, supporting actor I think belonged to Amy Madigan. I think everybody knew she was gonna win it, but the actress from Sinners I thought was really terrific, would have been another good choice. I don't have the same love for One Battle After Another that other people do, so I feel like I was really annoyed that it won, Best Director and Best Picture and stuff, and I was like, I would have rather Sinners won those things. But that's, that comes down to me personally. I know that a lot of people...
There's a lot of people out there this morning that would have preferred Sinners over One Battle After Another, and
yeah,
you're certainly right to have that opinion if that was something that bothered you on the evening.
Yeah, well, I feel like Sinners is a great movie from start to finish, and for me, One Battle After Another is parts of a really good movie, but not a whole good movie. Like parts of it when it's hitting for me, it's like A+ directing. But the parts where in between, I was just like, no. So I don't know. That's where I come down on it. I wish that Sinners had picked up some more stuff. It would have been really cool. But I was really glad that Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor. That was really excellent. That was excellent and well deserved.
Yeah, so we've mentioned 3 out of the 4 categories now. Michael B. Jordan winning. He picked up a lot of steam after he won the Screen Actors Guild award. They were like, for a long time, it was Timothy Chalamet's to lose from Marty Supreme, but a lot of momentum came from Michael B. Jordan in the end. And yeah, it's a great performance. He does two roles in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to beat two roles, one role, if you're just doing the math.
Right.
But no, Michael B. Jordan's been excellent for a number of years, even as a supporting role in Black Panther. I remember feeling like he made that movie. No disrespect to Chadwick Boseman, the late Chadwick Boseman, but I thought Michael B. Jordan is just a terrific villain.
Yeah,
In Black
the
Panther.
best. He stole the show, and I
Yeah.
was like really glad when they brought him back in the second Black Panther, even for what amounts to cameo appearance.
He's a terrific actor, throughout the years, whether it was the Creed movies or Fruitvale Station. I'm sure, I guess David Simon was saying, like, when he had him in The Wire when he was younger,
Mm-hmm.
Friday Night Lights, the TV series. So he's been working a long time. Great actor. I guess, I don't know, for some people, if they felt like Chalamet wanted it too much and like that kind of put them off. Or
Maybe. I mean, he definitely made a lot of enemies in the most recent couple of days with his comments about ballet and the opera,
yeah,
but I don't think that would have impacted voting necessarily at this point.
no, and every year he's nominated, so maybe he'll have a similar trajectory like DiCaprio, and it'll take him a long time to actually get the award. But he's booked and busy for sure. He's one of the most in demand actors today, I'm sure. Outside of Dune 3, which that we know is coming, positive he'll have other roles that will get him Oscar attention.
But yeah, totally. I mean, you really loved One Battle After Another, so I bet you were pretty psyched that it picked up a bunch of awards, right? And you like PTA in particular too.
Yeah, I do like Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm glad that like he finally got recognition from the Academy. For me, like, I think his filmography is just fantastic. I think the one movie, like the movies I typically don't like, are the ones that are based on Thomas Pynchon books, which is surprising because One Battle After Another is based on another Pynchon novel, and I really like that. But I don't really like Inherent Vice. The Master is kind of like hit or miss for me. Like, I appreciate that for its acting, not necessarily the movie itself. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
like Hard Eight, just because it's like the first one. But outside of those, like, I think every one of his movies is just really, really strong, really, really good. I think There Will Be Blood, Magnolia, Boogie Nights, Phantom Thread, those movies just really do it for me. And I've always looked forward to his movies. That this one won. It feels like the big one that got him across the finish line for everything that came before. But, by that same token, yeah, I think Sinners is an excellent movie, and I think they'll always be talked about hand in hand, because not only because they're both distributed by Warner Brothers,
Mm-hmm.
but because like they kind of define this season, and both excellent movies. I don't really think, like, from what the ceremony, the other movie to win a big acting award was Hamnet, which people thought was going to be a big player, and that ended up being its sole win. Is
Mm-hmm.
this really showy performance by Jesse Buckley, like going through the pain of child loss. It's the type of thing that Oscars eat up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm even happy for her. I've liked her for quite a few years now, even if this is the one that got her across the finish line. So yeah, the big ones I was pretty satisfied in, and I didn't bet this year, Evan. I didn't like enter any Oscar pools because I guess
Oh
like,
yeah, me neither.
we have like some peers in Bofka that run like some like Oscar pools, and like I was like, I just don't feel like it this year. I ended up still picking like 18 out of 24 correct with my home ballot, so
Damn,
I was
that's
like,
impressive.
yeah, like I did okay. I guess gave myself the X for the tie, right? We had a tie last night, the third in history. It was for like best live action short.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting when that happened. They're like, oh, okay, this is a tie, kind of weird. We're gonna announce the first winner. They're gonna come up and do their thing. Then we're gonna announce the second winner. They're gonna come up and do their thing.
And I actually said in the newsletter that I think a tie in this case is really good for both of those movies because,
Mm-hmm.
if you win an award as a live action short, it's like, who cares? But if you win an award as a live action short with another one, people are like, oh, well, that's a weird bit of Oscars trivia. Maybe I should check these out.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
and ultimately, short films do work as like calling cards for bigger features. One case in point I like to use is when Damien Chazelle went to Sundance with Whiplash as a short, and then was able to make it into a feature film.
Yeah. Yeah. Shorts are often, like you said, a proving ground for directors to show that they have a really strong concept that they can extrapolate out to feature length. Max, I've been dying to know, what do you think about Sentimental Value winning Best International? Because I remember you said that you really liked that one, but I was like kind of surprised in the on the ranks of the other movies that one came out on top.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think what I likened it to is like that had the most like nominations or the most love from the Academy. It was like runner up at the Cannes Film Festival. It lost to It Was Just an Accident there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was beloved, but like it also had like these familiar faces like Stellan Skarsgård and Ellie Fanning, so it was like maybe like easier to digest as an international film. I think like The Secret Agent picked up a lot of steam. Wagner Moura won like the best actor at Cannes, and like people were like really excited about that one catching up. The aforementioned It Was Just an Accident was very good, and I didn't see Surat or the voice of Hind Rajib, but yeah, I think ultimately I think the one that made the most sense won, but I think outside of like sentimental value, It Was Just an Accident or Secret Agent could have won easily. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think like if you're playing the game at home, it ultimately made the most sense to say which one of these films is nominated for Best Picture, and that probably has the leg up. So like
Mm-hmm.
It Was Just an Accident you could probably toss aside because they didn't like it enough to get in the 10. So like it was going to be Secret Agent or Sentimental Value. So and it's funny. I think I was talking to somebody and they're like, I really like Elle Fanning, and I'm glad that she was in a movie that won an Oscar. And I'm like, I really like Elle Fanning too. I think she was really bad in Sentimental Value, actually.
Yeah, I've heard it's not her strongest work in terms
No,
of a performance.
no, I think she's like almost like fish out of water in that movie. Not as bad as Mia Goth in Frankenstein, but it just it feels kind of weird for her there. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad to see like her return to form in Predator Badlands, which I think she's excellent in.
Yeah, that was a fun movie.
But
All
did
right.
you see Frankenstein? We had to talk.
No.
Like Mia Goth is just really out of place in that movie. I think I was talking to Shannon about it, and she's like, "Oh, I still haven't seen that yet." And I'm like, "Well, Shannon, look at all the awards it won. It won Frankenstein won 3 Oscars, right? It won for
Yeah.
costume design, production design, and hair and makeup." And I'm like, where that would look really good in the movie theater. And it's a
Yeah.
it's a damn shame that this was a Netflix movie and that most people probably watched it at home on dingy sets or streaming on their phones and stuff. I'm like, this movie looked like $1 billion
Mm.
and was awarded thusly, but like many people didn't see it that way.
Yeah, admittedly, it was one that I missed and never ended up catching up on. Whereas if it weren't that situation, I might have potentially seen it. But who knows?
Yeah, and a lot of the other undercard categories made sense. Right? The one Avatar nomination was for visual effects, and it's like, yeah, that movie had the most money thrown at its visual effects, so that makes sense that would win. F1 kind of made sense, like revving of engines and like
Right. For sound, right? Is
yeah,
that what I went for? I was not surprised that I still haven't seen it, and I want to. The K-pop Demon Hunters won Best Animated and won Best Song, right?
yeah. That I made a point about how much that bothered me, Evan. I guess like they didn't play the K-pop Demon Hunter song Golden until around 10 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm like, my little K-pop Demon Hunter is in bed. They didn't catch this. So I don't know what they're planning. And someone was arguing with me like, oh, not everybody lives in that time zone. And I'm like, okay, if that's your argument, then why wouldn't you put the Sinners performance later in the evening and the K-pop
Right.
performance earlier in the evening? Are you like hoping like people are holding out for the K-pop performance that, they've had numerous opportunities to see? Because I think they've performed at almost every award show. They've
Mm-hmm.
performed Golden now. So
Yeah. I liked the Sinners number. I thought that was very celebratory, and it conjured the kind of vibe of the juke joint effectively in that number.
Yeah,
That said, I wasn't really paying attention to the other ones aside from the K-pop Demon
that was it.
Hunters.
They only did two.
Oh, okay. So
They,
I didn't like miss another one that I
no,
wasn't really paying attention to.
no, they skipped the other three, and Diane Warren put out like a scathing report, like saying like, oh, if you're gonna like play some of them, you should play us all. And
I don't think that's necessary, honestly. I mean, it's one of the parts I find the most boring, actually,
yeah,
every year when they perform all of them.
I get it, but on the other hand, it's like if you're gonna make a point to like nominate it and do it, then like you should do it right. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that not every one of the songs selected is like a Billboard Top 100 song. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's ultimately what we're rewarding is like the most successful one, then like maybe you could just have that award off air every year. But again, the Oscars want to be an entertainment product, so they're like, "Oh, sweet, we have a song that people recognize. Let's play that."
Any other thoughts on the Oscars?
No, I like overall, like I think like it was about as decent of a Oscars show that you can get. I don't know
Yeah.
like what I want more from the Oscars, or like maybe it'd be just like what Max wants personally. Like I was like, oh yeah, give people all the time they want to thank whoever they want. But then the show was already like three hours and 40 minutes long. And I'm like, that was a stretch even for me at that time limit. So I'm like, imagine just the normal person watching this.
Yeah. I was glad that I DVR'd it and watched it later. Like, I didn't watch it, like, after I'd finished airing, but it was, like, mostly done airing into the point where I started. And so I fast-forwarded through all the commercials. I fast-forwarded through a lot of the, like, where they're reading off the names of the nominees. And that made it a much more efficient. And I think I fast-forwarded the, like, clip montages that they do where they're like, let's, clip montage all of the Best Picture nominees. I'm like, nope, don't need to see that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot less of that this year, like clips or like they didn't really show too many of the like Oscar moments or like I used to like that, but I know that it takes up time.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think they came up with a successful evening.
Yeah,
Either way.
agreed. Yeah, it definitely this year definitely worked for me. So overall, very satisfied with the Oscars. Okay, let's kick it over to our station identification, as you like to refer to it. So you've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast, and let's see, where do I start? We're on social media if you want to follow us. We're probably Max, the most active on Blue Sky and Threads, and we have a
Instagram.
presence on Letterboxd, Instagram. Yep. In Letterboxd, it's the pictures or it's the pic pod. You might find it in one of those ways. And we also have a really amazing newsletter that Max works on. He did one most obviously on the Academy Awards. That's the most recent piece that he's put out. But he also did one on Disney Plus and its issues where it likes to just do a show for a season and then cancel it.
Yeah. Like I wrote that like a few years ago, and it's still a thing. I'm like, it's like if you're not Marvel or Star Wars, you're not gonna last on Disney.
Yeah, it's true. And even some of those don't last. Like you said, She-Hulk not going to get another season.
The Acolyte, I think was a Star Wars show, right? That's not
Yep.
getting another one.
Yep. So those are some of the pieces you can catch up on if you subscribe to our newsletters. And you can just go to our website, right, Max, to subscribe to it. It's thepictures.com and get it. So definitely check that out and subscribe to it. Max, where can everybody find and follow you?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Blue Sky these days. You can look me up there at maxcoville.com or search my name, Max Colville. You can find my letterbox at mhcolville. And I'm logging the films that I see. Unsurprisingly, with my big trip away to Florida and Disney and what have you, I have not seen very many movies this month, so you will not see many logged there. But yet, those are probably the best ways to find me, and of course, my writing at the newsletter. It's thepictures.com and elsewhere. Evan, where can they find you these days?
Where can people find me? Well, I exist on social media, but I largely don't post there. So you can find me on like Threads and Blue Sky. I'm probably the most active on Letterboxd, where I'm logging my movies. And you can find me as Real Recon. That's real as in film reel. And also been working to kind of streamline some of my online presence. I've had like a couple of disparate websites for like my film writing and my book about 80s movies that I've written, and I'm gonna in the process of merging that all together into one website, which will just be evancrean.com, where you can see all of my writing, whether it be marketing writing or film writing, all in one place. And I forgot to mention that if you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us. It's thepictures@gmail.com. So if you want to chat with us about anything, definitely drop us a line.
Yeah, I mean, I still get some press emails there too, Evan. So I mean, like, it's a successful acknowledgement of our email address.
All right, let's talk about the what we've been watching, or in this case, Max, what rides you've been going on at Disney.
Yeah, so anybody who's been to Disney World or Disneyland, I imagine, knows that like these amusement rides have stories built into them. That's kind of like either through the lines or through the queues or what have you. And although I did the new Tron ride, Tron Light Cycle, and that was really cool, just blisteringly fast. I think the most thematic ride I probably went on is probably the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride, which is a few years old now. It's I guess it's in the Hollywood Studios Disney World Park where they have Galaxy's Edge Star Wars.
Yeah, I love Galaxy's Edge.
And you walk through there, and you have themed drinks. It's definitely the most exacting like theme park location, because like
Right. Get your blue milk here, people.
right, like I got like a Coca-Cola like grenade that was like in a different language, and that's like how you get Coca-Cola. So really, spending time in Disney, you see all the parks, but that one definitely felt like the most Star Wars-esque. And the Rise of the Resistance ride is very thematic, where like you are told and it's all like new trilogy Star Wars characters, right?
Right.
It's not
Yeah,
any of
the
the
J.J.
old ones.
Abrams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like get like a hologram from Rey telling you like all these secret plans and like how you have to escape, and then you get captured by the Empire or what's left of it, and they take you to this big, like you're taken to a big base, and like you walk out like you're arrested, and there's like walls of stormtroopers, and eventually you get on the ride where you are being told that you're being rescued by the Resistance from the Empire, and it's all about breaking out of the ship. And you have Kylo Ren's lightsaber coming through the wall. You have big animatronics of Kylo Ren. It's pretty fascinating experience with the mixture of everything. And you mentioned Galaxy's Edge. Is this something that you had experienced?
Yeah, so I went back in 2020 when Galaxy's Edge I would say, had been fairly recent in terms of its opening. And I was actually really bummed because we didn't realize that you need to sign up in advance at that time to go to Rise of the Resistance. So we couldn't make it on that day. But we did experience everything else in Galaxy's Edge, which was a lot of fun. I mean, I loved doing what's that, Smuggler's Run, when you're piloting the Millennium Falcon. That was amazing. But yeah, I'm super jealous that you got to go on Rise of the Resistance, because we were just so bummed at the time that we didn't make it there. And hopefully maybe one of these days we'll get there so we can go on it. But I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It sounds like an absolute blast.
Yeah, and like I said, it's very thematic and has a lot going on with it, and it's in that top tier of Disney rides where you still like you can pay like extra money to get like a lightning pass thing. That's what they're using these days, Evan. Where like they're like, oh, you can have like $20 to secure your ticket for a specific time, and you're like, geez, and you're like, I really want to go on this,
but I'm paying it.
Yeah, and no, it was cool. When we got home a few days ago, and we were like all just thinking about the rides, and we were like watching, like I guess they have like shows on Disney Plus about like the Imagineers and what goes into some of these rides, and all that is really fascinating. The technology and artistry that goes into creating all these rides.
Yeah, it is truly remarkable what they do there, both on a technical level, like all the ways that they craft the rides, but also from a narrative perspective, what they're doing as storytellers.
So you've actually been watching real movies.
Yeah, you know what? I have been watching movies, so I've been catching up on some stuff here and there, and then I've also been watching some movies in prep to cover the Boston Israeli Film Festival that is happening, and I'm actually couple days from now, a few days from now. So I'll start by saying I watched The Housemaid with Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried,
Hmm.
and that was one that I wanted to catch in theaters, but just narrowly missed it. It was still like playing till recently, and that was a lot of fun. Did you
Yeah.
see The Housemaid, Max? I can't remember.
No, I haven't seen it, but it was directed by like Paul Feig, right? And like
Yes.
he makes pretty fun movies.
Yeah, he can be kind of hit or miss with me, but this one was definitely a hit. It's you familiar with the premise at all? It's Sydney Sweeney is applying to be a housekeeper or housemaid, and Amanda Seyfried is hiring, and she seems really nice at first, and Sydney Sweeney's character is really down on her luck and really needs this job really badly, and then when she shows up for work, like Amanda Seyfried is unhinged, like totally like wacko, like doing all kinds of mean spirited like things to try to like mess with her. What Without going too much into spoiler territory, it kind of sets up a dynamic that you think is going to be like a straight up cat and mouse game that you expect in this kind of single white female esque kind of situation. But it actually is a lot more interesting than that. There's a lot more going on. And while I was watching, I was like, it feels kind of long, but then there's kind of like a pivot point in the movie where I'm like, okay, I get where it's going now, and I'm
Hmm.
totally on board with what's happening. So yeah, it's a little bit salacious. There's definitely some nudity and sex scenes in it. Yeah, Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried I think are great together. I think I like Amanda Seyfried more in it than Sydney Sweeney, but it's a fun combo and a really entertaining movie.
Is this the most you've liked Sydney Sweeney in? Because like I think I kind of tolerated the one that she was the romantic comedy she was in opposite um, with our guy over there, Glenn Powell, and like I thought that was okay, but like for the most part, I don't really like her.
I haven't really seen her in a ton. So I watched this movie that came out last year called Echo Valley, which was like a thriller with her, and she was okay. I've seen Immaculate. Again, I thought she was good in that. I didn't think she was like amazing, but thought she was good. And I remember seeing her like way back when she was doing, was it White Lotus, the first season of White Lotus that she was in?
I think
So I feel
Euphoria. I think she was in too. Like that's
yeah, but I never saw Euphoria,
yeah.
so like I've only seen her in the movie context, and yeah, she's all right. I don't think she's like amazing, but yeah, I think Amanda Seyfried was definitely the stronger in this. But Sydney Sweeney does have her moments. There's this like really great moment where she's eating a sandwich, and it's just fucking hilarious.
But
She's like
you're,
chowing down at a sandwich.
but you're saying that this is an easy recommend based on its entertainment factor.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
it is fun. It is a fun movie. And it, like I said, surprised me. I was expecting a certain dynamic, and it upended that in a good way. So yeah, definitely see The Housemaid, and then yeah, just pivoting briefly. Like I said, they're the Boston Jewish Film. It's an organization that I've connected with for a long time, and have attended their festivals. They're doing an Israeli film series. They're now part of the JCC Greater Boston, so they're actually hosting the film series there. But they're showing 4 films from March 22nd to March 29th. The Property, Nina is an Athlete, Wildland, and Pink Lady. Nina is an Athlete and Wildland are both documentaries, and The Property and Pink Lady, which I've watched so far, are narrative features, and they're both, I thought, really, really good. So The Property is about a grandmother and a granddaughter who travel to Poland, and they're there to like reclaim some family property that was taken during World War II during the Holocaust. Things kind of unravel once they get there. Like it's a girl who's like in her 30s, and her grandma's just kind of going off on her own doing something that she doesn't understand, and it seems utterly uninterested now in the whole like reclaiming the property. And so she ends up hanging out with the granddaughter ends up hanging out with this tour guide, and they kind of have hit it off and have a relationship there. And yeah, it's moving. It's very funny. Like, despite being a drama, it's also very funny in places. It tells a really like heartbreaking story about like long lost love and missed connections. And yeah, I thought it was extremely well, like from a cinematography perspective, it looks really great. And the color palettes and the costumes and the characters, like all the performances, I think are really excellent. So that's one that is playing on the 22nd, so I would recommend that so far. And then the other one, Pink Lady, really interesting story as well, but a kind of a different direction. It takes place in an ultra-Orthodox Jewish community in Jerusalem where the lead character, her husband, she finds out, and father of her 3 children, is having an affair with one of the men in his yeshiva that he's attending. And so it's this like really like rough kind of story about her discovering the fact that her husband has been concealing this affair from her, and there's blackmail involved in this religious community, and it's really well done as well. Like, it delves deep into their lives, into this community, and it's a really compelling portrait of this woman kind of grappling with all of these things that are like totally upending her world, but still finding like moments of levity and catharsis. And yeah, another like really excellent movie. So 2 very different movies.
Either way, thanks for sharing those movies with us, Evan. You've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast and, our thoughts on the Oscars. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the whole season. We're looking forward to some new movies coming out soon. I have planned to see Project Hail Mary. Maybe I'll catch up with The Bride. I don't know. We'll see. But April will be here right around the corner. And, I just got a message from Evan that they lost power. We're stormy up here in New England. But I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.